At 53, Jennifer Garner still carries the warm smile that melts Hollywood's heart. Yet few know that behind those gentle eyes lies a lifetime of heartbreak and loneliness she once called the quietest battle of my life. She was once television's fiercest secret agent, a woman who could take down an enemy with a single spin. But off-screen, Jennifer Garner chose to fight in silence, against betrayal, against the ruins of love, and through the long nights when the world only saw her as the perfect mother. She made millions cry in 13 going on 30. Yet behind the camera, she was a woman learning to forgive herself after a broken marriage with Ben Affleck. Jennifer Garner is Hollywood's most beautiful and sorrowful paradox, an actress admired for her strength, but loved for her gentleness. A woman who walked away from the spotlight to return to her small garden, her mom food dinners, and a life so modest that people sometimes forget she was once a global star. But behind that calm lies a truth Hollywood never told, a chapter that even Garner herself admitted. "I've lost more than people will ever know." And perhaps the greatest tragedy of Jennifer Garner isn't what she lost, but how she kept smiling as if she never knew pain. So what could have driven Jennifer Garner, the woman who seemed to have it all, to finally say that? Jennifer Ann Garner was born on April 17, 1972, in Houston, Texas, the daughter of William John Garner, a chemical engineer, and Patricia Ann Garner, an English professor who later retired. Her family moved to Charleston, West Virginia, when Jennifer was still a child, where she grew up alongside her two sisters, Melissa Lynn and Susanna Kay. Garner's childhood unfolded in a modest home. No luxury, no color television, and almost entirely removed from the noise of the entertainment world. Her parents, both born during the Great Depression, had fought their way out of poverty through education and hard work. They taught their daughters that a person's worth wasn't measured by wealth or fame, but by honesty, diligence, and kindness. Her mother, Patricia, grew up on a small farm in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, without electricity, running water, or plumbing. Jennifer once said, "My mom was never ashamed of growing up poor. She was proud that her parents lived with dignity and kindness even when they had nothing." In 2017, Jennifer bought back that very piece of land, her grandparents' farm, as a way to preserve her family's legacy. Today, the farm grows organic produce for Once Upon a Farm, the clean baby food brand Jennifer co-founded. Her father, William, also had a tough upbringing. He lost his own father young and became the man of the house before he was even a teenager. By age 10, he was delivering newspapers, stacking bowling pins, and helping his mother make ends meet. Jennifer recalled, "My dad was guided by men at church who taught him how to live with integrity and take responsibility. He said they were the reason he found his way to college." William and Patricia married in 1965 and remained examples of endurance, humility, and love. Even after their daughter became a Hollywood star, they kept their simple lifestyle. Jennifer once said, "My parents are just ordinary people. They rose through education, and I know I'm lucky, because that's what changed the course of our family's life." Garner attended Denison University in Ohio, where she initially majored in chemistry. But with her parents' full support, she later switched to theater. "My parents never objected," she shared. "They just said, 'Do what you love.'" After graduating in 1996, Jennifer moved to New York to pursue theater before heading to Los Angeles, the city where a small-town girl would begin her journey to becoming one of Hollywood's most respected figures. Looking back, she once said, "I wouldn't trade my West Virginia childhood for anything. That's where I learned how to be a person, before I ever learned how to be an actress." After graduating from Denison University in 1996 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater, Jennifer Garner left the quiet Midwest for New York City, carrying nothing more than a small suitcase and a dream of becoming an actress. But life in the city was far harsher than she expected. Garner worked as a restaurant hostess, babysitter, men's clothing salesperson, and even cleaned bathrooms at a summer movie theater just to pay rent. She recalled in a Vanity Fair photo shoot, "It was tough. I started by cleaning bathrooms, but honestly, who among us hasn't cleaned a few bathrooms?" Between late-night shifts and early morning auditions, Garner kept smiling and greeting strangers on the street, a small-town habit from West Virginia that quickly made her realize New York wasn't like home. Yet it was precisely that sincerity and optimism that later became her signature. The reason audiences fell in love with her, a star who never lost her down-to-earth humanity in a world obsessed with glamour. She began with the smallest of roles, a stand-in in roundabout theater companies a month in the country, and a supporting role in the TV movie Zoya, 1995. Guest appearances followed in Spin City and Law & Order. In 1997, Garner landed her first leading role in the TV film Rose Hill and appeared in 2 feature films, Washington Square and Mr. Magoo. But one of the most emotionally defining moments of her early career came in 1998 during her audition for the TV series Felicity. As she recounted on the Dear Felicity podcast, she performed a breakup scene between Hannah Bibb, her character, and Noel Crane, played by Scott Foley. The scene was so intense that after it ended, she ran to the bathroom to finish crying. "I remember going into the bathroom afterward because the scene was so moving and I needed to cry. I hid in a stall and just finished the tears I started during the audition." Her role as Hannah Bibb not only gave Garner the chance to appear in 2 seasons of Felicity, but also introduced her to Scott Foley, her co-star who would later become her first husband in 2000. In the following years, Garner continued to take supporting roles in Significant Others, 1998, Time of Your Life, 1999, and the comedy Dude, Where's My Car, 2000. Though not yet famous, she earned attention for her dedication, natural acting, and relentless work ethic. From a West Virginia girl who once scrubbed theater bathrooms and cried after auditions, Jennifer Garner gradually worked her way through humble beginnings, preparing for the defining breakthrough that would change everything. Her role as Sydney Bristow in Alias, the female action icon of early 2000s television, marking the start of one of Hollywood's most enduring careers. Jennifer Garner's success didn't arrive through luck or a role handed to her. It came in the moment she seized an opportunity. When director J.J. Abrams was searching for a new face for his upcoming spy action series Alias, one who could be both fierce and fragile, he remembered the young woman who once brought tears to the Felicity set. Abrams later recalled, "I knew Jennifer had something you can't teach: sincerity. She could knock someone out with a punch and make you cry with just a look." And so, Garner was called in to audition. That day, she didn't bring the swagger of a spy, but the fear and conviction of an ordinary woman forced to become extraordinary. Abrams didn't need a second audition. He knew he had found Sydney Bristow. When Alias premiered in 2001, it instantly transformed Jennifer Garner from an unknown actress into a cultural phenomenon. Audiences were captivated by the spy who could slip into dozens of disguises, speak 3 languages, and fight her way through danger, yet still remain a daughter searching for herself. Garner performed most of her own stunts, often going home covered in bruises, icing her knees before showing up to film the next morning. Once, after a serious injury, a doctor told her to rest. She refused, saying simply, "I'm not letting anyone else do these moments for me." Alias ran for 5 seasons, earning Garner a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, 4 consecutive Emmy nominations, and making her one of the highest-paid TV actresses of the early 2000s. But what truly endeared her to everyone wasn't the accolades. It was her attitude. She never complained, never quit, and always smiled, even while filming with her knees wrapped in ice. After Alias, Garner moved to the big screen with newfound confidence. In 2004, she charmed the world in 13 Going on 30, a film critics called a sweet symphony between childhood and adulthood. During the first day of filming, the director told her to act like a 13-year-old girl trapped in a woman's body. Garner didn't act. She became that girl, running around the set, singing Britney Spears songs, and laughing uncontrollably. When the film premiered, it grossed $96 million worldwide, triple its budget, crowning Garner the new queen of romantic comedies. Yet behind the sweetness were long nights when she still couldn't shake off Sydney Bristow. She later admitted, "I had to learn to separate from that strength, to go back to being myself, the woman who still trembles, who still knows how to love." That honesty made audiences not just love her, but believe in her. In 2007, Garner surprised critics with Juno, a low-budget independent film that went on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay and gross $231 million. She returned as a woman of quiet depth and emotional intelligence. 6 years later, she stood out again in Dallas Buyers Club, 2013, a film that won 3 Oscars. Behind the scenes, Garner was still breastfeeding her child while shooting, and once broke down in tears from exhaustion. Matthew McConaughey later shared, "Jen cried in the bathroom, not because she was weak, but because she gave everything to the role and still didn't stop being a mom." The 2020s marked another transformation. Garner returned to family films like Yes Day, 2021, one of Netflix's top 10 most-watched movies of the year, and The Adam Project, 2022, with Ryan Reynolds, which topped Netflix's global charts during its debut week. In each of her mom roles, Garner wasn't just acting. She was revealing a part of her real self, sincere, strong, and unwavering in her faith in kindness. Then, in 2024, she stunned fans by reprising her role as Elektra in Deadpool 3, nearly 2 decades after her last superhero appearance. Within 48 hours, the hashtag #WelcomeBackElektra surpassed 30 million views on social media, proving the world had never truly forgotten her. When asked about the secret to her success, Jennifer simply smiled. "I started by cleaning bathrooms in a theater. Everything after that has been a gift." From the small-town girl in West Virginia to an icon of strength and grace, Jennifer Garner didn't just reach the peak of her career. She redefined success itself, not as fame, but as the ability to remain yourself amid the noise of glory. At the height of her fame, when Hollywood lights blazed her name across every headline, Jennifer Garner chose the opposite path. She went searching for peace. She once said, "I never dreamed of being famous. I just wanted a home, a place to come back to." In 2000, Garner married actor Scott Foley, whom she met while guest starring on Felicity, playing Hannah Bibb, the distant girlfriend of Foley's character, Noel Crane. Back then, they were both dreamers without fame, renting a small apartment in Los Angeles, eating instant noodles, counting phone bills together. They believed in simple love, in the promise of making it through together. But when Alias turned Garner into a global star, the spotlight drew a quiet line between them. Foley once said, "She was flying off to film while I was home fixing the sink. The distance stopped being about geography." Before Alias even premiered, Garner continued appearing in the final season of Felicity in 2002. By then, Her name was already known everywhere. But fame changed everything. In a later interview, Garner admitted that they had thrived during the years before either of us became famous. But once success came, their first love story began to crumble. In April 2003, they announced their separation, though legal documents listed March 23rd as the official date of their split. Rumors began swirling when Garner attended the Oscars alone just a week earlier, smiling for cameras, yet surrounded by the invisible space between two lives. She later reflected that they were truly victims of Hollywood, a place where everything moves too fast, and when something breaks, it's often kinder to let go early than to keep bleeding. She once said, "If we'd lived where I grew up, in West Virginia, we probably would have stayed together." Soon after her split from Foley, tabloids linked Garner to Alias co-star Michael Vartan, but Foley denied any third-party involvement. There was no one else. Jennifer became famous. We got divorced, and it wasn't anyone's fault. He explained that distance, not infidelity, had undone them. Years later, Garner admitted she regretted marrying too young. "People mature at different times. I wish I had waited until I was 30, maybe older, to get married." In an Allure interview, she said, "Scott's a great guy. We really did grow up together, but looking back, I see that we fell apart." Then destiny led her to Ben Affleck, the man she had once brushed past on the set of Pearl Harbor 2000, playing Nurse Sandra alongside his fighter pilot Rafe McCauley. Their real connection, however, came 3 years later when they reunited on Daredevil, 2003. At the time, both were in other relationships, so it began as friendship, a peculiar kind of friendship filled with late-night emails, witty exchanges, and quiet laughter. "He's a very persuasive writer," Jennifer once said. And when both were single, those emails gradually became something else. A rhythm of affection, a friendship that turned into love. By the fall of 2004, they were spotted sitting side by side at Fenway Park, cheering for the Boston Red Sox during the World Series. Amid the crowd's roar, there were fleeting, almost cinematic moments. Ben leaning in to whisper something, Jennifer laughing like a 13-year-old girl, and him watching her as if the scoreboard had vanished. Not long after, her 33rd birthday in April 2005 became the quiet moment Ben chose to propose. No press, no spectacle, just the way they both preferred to live. June 2005. They were married in Turks and Caicos. No guests, no press, just one witness and the sound of the waves. "We had a beautiful private wedding," Jennifer recalled, "and I couldn't have been happier." Soon after came Violet Ann, December 2005, then Serafina Rose Elizabeth, January 2009, and Samuel Garner, February 2012. Between endless flights and film sets, they learned to be parents like anyone else. Stealing a kiss after the kids were asleep, sneaking out for a date night. Then, rushing to make breakfast the next morning. Ben joked on TV, "I'm the only man in the house. I'm wrong 3 times a day." But what followed wasn't a joke. "I have the most wonderful family, and I'm grateful for that." Then came the trials. Fame, pressure, expectation. All of it descended on a man already vulnerable. Ben stumbled into alcohol while Jennifer held the wheel, keeping the home from collapsing. She took the kids to school, cooked, gardened, then flew out to film. One morning, she was shooting an action scene in Arizona. That same afternoon, she was back in Los Angeles, sitting in the 3rd row at her daughter's piano recital. She never attacked her husband, never revealed the sleepless nights. She simply stood quietly in the storm, shielding her children from the wind. In June 2015, on their 10th wedding anniversary, they announced their separation. But instead of breaking apart, They chose grace, a family trip to the Bahamas, marriage counseling together, and a joint divorce filing in April 2017, finalizing it in October 2018, just after Ben completed a 40-day rehab program. The most unforgettable image from that turbulent time was Jennifer driving Ben to rehab in 2017, then again in August 2018, opening the car door, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. No words were needed. The world understood. Some love stories choose kindness at the end. In Vanity Fair, Jennifer said softly, "Ben was the love of my life, but sometimes you have to let go to save the best parts of each other." Ben, too, never hid from his shadows. He wrote, "I want my kids to know there's no shame in seeking help," and later confessed to the New York Times that divorce was his greatest regret, that shame is toxic, and that at one point, he drank more heavily as his marriage fell apart. On a radio show, he once spoke so bluntly about it that his words were misinterpreted. He later went on air again to clarify, saying, "I never want my kids to think I said anything bad about their mother." As time passed, life demanded they become teammates. Ben now calls Jennifer his partner and an incredible co-parent. Every Father's Day, she still sends a warm message. "No one loves their kids the way you love ours." They take the kids trick-or-treating together, volunteer on Thanksgiving, and sit side by side at school events. And when Deadpool and Wolverine 2024 playfully referenced Daredevil, Jennifer, back as Elektra after 20 years, smiled as she delivered a single light-hearted line, a subtle nod to a memory they once shared. As for Ben's later personal life, the marriages, magazine covers, and endless public curiosity, he admits he's not as strategic as people assume. "I just wanted to get a cup of coffee," he once said. But through all the flashbulbs, one truth never changes. "I'm grateful that Jennifer is the mother of my children. When you have kids with someone, you're connected to them forever." Their story, then, doesn't end with a divorce decree. It continues through every parent-teacher conference, every midnight call about a fever, every shared decision about school. Co-parenting. It sounds clinical, but in their hands it became a quiet form of love, respectful, kind, and always present. Ben once told GQ that his life is actually quite calm. People just prefer the sensational version. Meanwhile, Jennifer, as always, is seen walking around Brentwood with a coffee in hand, barefaced and smiling. The light in her has never gone out. It's simply grown softer, warmer. If their relationship needed a name, it would be maturity, from co-stars to spouses to partners in life, a full circle whose center is 3 children. In Hollywood, where love stories often end with slammed doors, they chose instead to rest a hand on each other's shoulder and keep walking, not as lovers, but as family. When Jennifer Garner's divorce from Ben Affleck was officially finalized on October 4th, 2018, she exhaled, a long, quiet sigh of relief. 3 years after their separation, the last papers were signed inside her own home, with lawyers and a private judge present. The woman from 13, going on 30, didn't rush to fill the space beside her. She had already considered herself single for some time, not from loneliness, but because she needed a kind, quiet pause for herself and her 3 children, Violet, Serafina, and Samuel. Just 6 days later, on October 10th, 2018, whispers began. Jennifer was ready to date again. Not a rebound, not a sudden twist, but a natural step after years of patience, helping Ben through rehab and the paperwork of closure. She'll always care for Ben as the father of her kids, a source shared, but she's ready to move forward. Then on October 24th, 2018, a name surfaced, John Miller, a tech and retail entrepreneur, CEO of Cali Group, the company behind Cali Burger, a man who had filed for divorce from violinist Caroline Campbell back in 2011 and also had 2 children of his own. Their relationship started cautiously. Casual, not serious yet, reports said. He hasn't met her kids. By October 31st, 2018, updates came again. It's not serious, but Jen enjoys his company. They met when schedules allowed, always keeping family as the top priority. Their love unfolded the way adults love. Less fireworks, more peace. In early November 2018, a private judge finalized Jen and Ben's divorce, filing the decision with the court. They agreed to joint physical and legal custody and even committed to monthly co-parenting therapy sessions for at least 6 months, a civilized pact to protect their children. Then, on November 9, 2018, Jennifer and John were seen together in public for the first time, attending Dear Evan Hansen at the Amundsen Theater. They arrived and left separately, later smiling quietly in the back seat of a car. Warm, but reserved. A year later, on September 19, 2019, they were spotted dining at Giorgio Baldi in Santa Monica, still discreet, still separate arrivals. By late 2019, they had split. No drama, no statements. Just 2 parents with demanding lives and kids of their own, choosing space over spectacle. By 2020, Jennifer joked about Tinder under a meme about profile pictures, a glimpse of her humor and self-awareness, proof that even after storms, she could still laugh at herself. Early that year, she told friends she wanted a fresh start. As long as the kids were healthy, the house was warm, and her loved ones could endure and still find joy. That's enough. In March 2021, she told people, "I'm okay being home alone." She wasn't closing the door on love, but she wasn't in a hurry either. "I definitely don't think I'll be single forever. Just not right now. I don't need to complicate things." Then, suddenly, on August 17, 2021, the 2 were spotted together in New York. Jennifer in a sweater, jeans, and thick-rimmed glasses. John in a rolled-up flannel shirt. By September 29, 2021, they were seen again, walking with coffees in hand. No posing, no PDA. Just 2 adults quietly finding a rhythm they once knew. In March 2022, right after the Adam Project premiere, they were seen together at JFK Airport, side by side, no affection displayed, just a calm, unspoken message. We're heading the same way. By August 2022, they were photographed again after a workout in Los Angeles. Jennifer in black activewear, John in a gray t-shirt, their lives blending naturally into routine, steady, and unhurried. January 28, 2023. In the golden sunlight of Santa Barbara, they were seen walking hand in hand, smiling brightly. Just days later, on February 1st, 2023, a source confirmed they've been back together for a year. The relationship, described as special, hadn't been simple. Both had children, both had once needed time apart. But now, Jennifer was genuinely happy they'd found their way back to each other. On April 13, 2023, John quietly attended the Los Angeles premiere of The Last Thing He Told Me. He didn't walk the red carpet, didn't pose for cameras, he was simply there, present. Then, on August 14, 2023, the couple were spotted jogging through Brentwood. Jennifer in a black tank top, John in a Cali Group t-shirt, their breathing in sync, like an unspoken promise. By April 24, 2024, they were photographed strolling through Los Angeles again. Jennifer in a striped sweater, jeans, and sneakers. John in a denim jacket, blue shirt, and brown boots. Just days earlier, on April 21, 2024, amid swirling headlines about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's rumored split, a source told people that Jennifer was happy with John, not comparing the past with the present, simply living fully in what she had now. By December 2024, people reported she was very happy and saw John nearly every day. There were no engagement announcements, no wedding dress waiting in a closet, only the steady rhythm of everyday life, school drop-offs and pickups, morning jogs, evening walks around the neighborhood, quiet dinners after long days. It was peace, and that, more than anything, was what Jennifer chose to protect. If you asked why they last, the answer lies in their balance. Both center their children above all else. Both respect what came before and those who walked beside them. John honors Jennifer's co-parenting relationship with Ben. Jennifer feels no need to define the future too soon. They move slowly, quietly, with intention. Choosing a love that isn't a headline but a gentle habit repeated day after day. Over more than 2 decades in Hollywood, Jennifer Garner has built not just a steady acting career, but a legacy defined by how she chose to live when the lights went out. No scandals, no noise. Garner quietly worked, raised her children, and used her fame to shine light on the places most people prefer not to see: poverty, neglected children, and inequality in education. Born into a working-class family in West Virginia, she has never forgotten where she came from. The image of her mother, who once babysat for $1 a day to afford her own schooling, stayed with her for life, becoming the foundation for every act of service that followed. In 2017, during her testimony before the U.S. Congress as a representative for Save the Children, Garner said, "I used to see kids at my school cut their shoes in half because they were too small, and then they just disappeared. Back then, I couldn't do anything, but now I can stand up for them." That statement not only silenced the entire room, but also crystallized the image of Jennifer Garner, not just as a star, but as a woman who uses her voice to make the world better. Since then, she has become a global ambassador for Save the Children, often traveling to rural schools, reading to kids, distributing meals, and talking with parents, not for cameras, but to listen. Her compassion didn't stop at charity, she turned it into lasting impact. In 2017, Garner co-founded the organic baby food company Once Upon a Farm, dedicated to providing clean, healthy nutrition for children, with a commitment to pairing profit with social responsibility. She explained, "If we can help one child eat well, we've planted a seed for an entire generation." Beyond Save the Children, she supports over 20 humanitarian organizations, including No Kid Hungry, Stand Up to Cancer, Baby to Baby, and the Hollywood Food Coalition. In 2020, amid the pandemic, she donated $10,000 to West Virginia's Promise, a charity aiding at-risk youth in her home state. When questioned by the media about the effectiveness of such relief efforts, she simply replied, "If you're helping people sincerely, you don't need credit for it." From a TV actress to a symbol of empathy, Jennifer Garner's legacy isn't measured in awards or box office numbers, but in the way she's made people believe that kindness, too, can be powerful. Hollywood has produced many stars, but few who can comfort an audience with nothing more than a smile, like her. Today, when people think of Jennifer Garner, they don't just remember Alias or 13 going on 30. They remember the image of a woman in a white shirt, kneeling to tie a child's shoe in a struggling school in Kentucky, a quiet, humble gesture that might just be the truest portrait of her legacy. In a Hollywood of fine wines, gala dinners, and designer-tasting menus, Jennifer Garner has chosen a different rhythm: simple, grounded, and wonderfully real. When Harper's Bazaar asked her to film a What I Eat in a Day video, Garner didn't pose in a gleaming kitchen or rely on a private chef. She simply smiled, brewed her own coffee, and began with her trademark introduction. "Hi, Harper's Bazaar. This is Jennifer Garner, and here we are talking about everything I eat in a day." It wasn't the voice of a movie star. It was the voice of a mother sharing a story from her kitchen. Her morning begins with coffee, and then another. She calls it a life ritual, sometimes switching things up with an almond milk cappuccino. For Jennifer, stability in small routines is how she maintains discipline and calm in a world that shifts by the hour. I get obsessed with one breakfast for years. I'll eat it over and over until I can't anymore. She jokes, half in earnest, revealing a personality that's tidy, introverted, and quietly perfectionist. Her current obsession: full-fat yogurt with berries and nuts, what she calls the perfect mix of delicious, convenient, and healthy. Her favorite snack? Not a paid endorsement, but her own once-upon-a-farm organic snack pouches. It's the best thing to eat on the go, she says with a laugh, mentioning her habit of carrying a pre-sliced apple, put back together so it doesn't smudge my lipstick. Her unbeatable duo: apples and peanut butter. The best combo ever. For lunch, Garner keeps to her true farm-to-table spirit, not just as a motto, but as a lifestyle. A giant arugula salad with vegetables from her own backyard, cauliflower, peas, sweet potatoes, cheese, or brown rice. Everything fresh, unpretentious, real. It's how she approaches life itself, ordinary but complete. Dinner she calls mom food. I'm not a fancy cook, but I cook for the people I love, she says, smiling as she recalls how her son once nearly said his favorite meal was fast food, then quickly corrected himself. Mom's food. I know he said it to make me happy, but thank you, sweetheart. In that moment, you understand. Jennifer Garner's kitchen doesn't need Michelin stars. Love is already the main ingredient. Her culinary inspiration is Ina Garten, the barefoot Contessa. Anything I cook well is thanks to Ina, Garner admits. She's learned to bake honey bread, prepare beef bourguignon, roast salmon, and caramelize vegetables. Simple dishes that fill the home with warmth. When asked about her favorite restaurant, she didn't name a 5-star place. She chose Pizzana, her friend Daniele Uditi's pizzeria in Los Angeles, especially for its Brussels sprout salad, and she confessed her weird combo. I like to put salad on my pizza and fold it up to eat. Weird, right? A half-joking, half-serious question. Pure Jennifer Garner, funny, approachable, and blissfully unconcerned with being the perfect celebrity. When the topic turned to alcohol, her tone softened. After the pandemic, she reevaluated her relationship with drinking. I've never had more than one glass, but lately I've stopped altogether, she said, not out of rigidity, but out of respect for her body and mind. It was a small decision with a large message, the courage to change for the better. Like anyone, Garner has her quirks, a love for sweets and salty snacks, but one firm rule. I hate olives. Don't bring olives to my house. I don't need you or your olives. The line made the whole crew burst out laughing, because in that instant, they weren't looking at a Hollywood icon, but a real woman, funny, honest, impossibly endearing. And finally, her sweetest confession, her addictive pleasure, homemade magic shell ice cream, melted chocolate that hardens instantly when it hits something cold. If it's in the house, I'll eat ice cream every night, she laughed. A tiny act of indulgence. And maybe that's the secret to why the world loves her even more. She's not flawless. She's human. Perfectly, irresistibly human. With her simple daily rituals, morning coffee, a bowl of yogurt with berries, and warm mom food dinners, it's easy to understand why Jennifer Garner remains one of the few serene souls in Hollywood's noise. For her, nourishment isn't just in what she eats, but in how she creates a place to live, love, and return to. And that place is her home. the one that truly carries her spirit. "Hello, come on in. It's the cleanest it'll ever be." Jennifer greets you with that familiar smile. Friendly, witty, and a little self-deprecating. It's not the greeting of a Hollywood celebrity, but of a mother proudly showing a house she just managed to tidy before the kids run in. And indeed, her home doesn't resemble the marble and glass mansions of movie stars. It feels more like a California farmhouse, built out of memory, love, and gratitude. She recalls that when she first described her dream home in words, architect Steve Giannetti painted it in watercolor, and that sketch became reality, almost exactly as drawn. "I never made a Pinterest board, never chose reference photos," she confessed. "When I saw the sketch, I just knew. That was my home." The house isn't built from luxury materials, but from feeling, warmth, honesty, and closeness. The living room is its heart. Not for display, but for living. There's a Rummikub table for family games and a cozy space around the fireplace for evening talks. On the walls hang paintings gifted by friends, including works by artist Rainer Andreessen, husband of Victor Garber, Garner's longtime friend from Alias to real life. One portrait even hides their likenesses within it, a quiet tribute to their years of shared friendship and growth. Sliding doors open to the garden, where sunlight floods in and the sound of water blends with children's laughter. "It's hard to keep things dry when the kids jump straight in from the pool," she says, laughing and shrugging. That sentence alone captures the essence of her home. It doesn't need perfection, only life. Then she leads the camera into the kitchen, the true heart of the house. "This is the first time it's ever been this clean. You should document it," she jokes. Every detail reflects who Jennifer is: natural wood, warm light, and a feeling like living in a treehouse. She doesn't cook fancy meals. When a dish is done, it's served. But her kids never complain. In one corner, she keeps a special baking nook filled with every type of flour and chocolate chip imaginable. When asked what the most important ingredient in her home is, she laughs. Chocolate chips, obviously. The adjoining dining area isn't just for meals. It's also a workspace, a Zoom room, and sometimes just a place to sit and talk. "You just have to live with your choices," she says, pointing to a light fixture she agonized over for weeks. A small, simple philosophy that somehow feels profound. Her library, the first room she described during planning, is painted a soft blue-gray that seems to quiet everything inside. "You build a house to live in, not to look at," she says. In here, muddy paws, messy hair, and bursts of laughter are always welcome. Step outside, and it's a miniature farm tucked within the city. Cherry, apricot, fig, peach, apple, and nectarine trees bloom across a garden irrigated by a gray water system, recycled water from washing dishes and laundry. Garner explains the setup in detail, part farmer, part mother, part environmentalist. "The fruit grows right from the garden," she says, "like the childhood dream I had back in West Virginia. Every bush around the house is edible. Blueberries, herbs, kale, tomatoes, green beans, even the flowers that repel insects. Nothing is ornamental. Everything has a purpose. It's a home that breathes, just like its owner, practical, kind, and quietly alive." In the backyard, she has a small spot for her morning coffee, and at night it becomes a cozy corner for blankets and quiet conversations with friends. "I love this place," she says. "There's a bird's nest in the passion fruit vine. Well, R.I.P. It just blew away in the wind." A light-hearted joke, yet somehow it reveals everything. Garner lives truthfully, cherishing small things the way she once cherished her most unglamorous, heartfelt roles. Upstairs is her children's world: study desks, project tables, and a reading nook where the three of them curl up with old storybooks. That's everything I ever wished for, she says. In her own compact bedroom, Garner still keeps T Bear, the stuffed animal her father gave her when she was 3. I don't need a big bedroom, she smiles, but I do need a big bathroom. There, natural light and plants fill the space with calm. She points at the mirror, laughing. This is where I turn from one old lady into another old lady. Upstairs, there's also a secret spot, the Harry Potter corner under the stairs, where her son hides to eat candy. He calls it his office, she says, but I know he's just hiding from me. When the home tour ends, Garner stands at the doorway, sunset filtering through the trees, her smile softening in the light. I've never built anything on my own. Every time I walk in here, I feel grateful. I'm so lucky to live and raise my kids in this place. That home, simple, warm, filled with laughter and love, isn't just where Jennifer Garner lives. It's the perfect metaphor for how she exists in Hollywood. Never chasing the glitter, only quietly building a small world where kindness has a place to stay. Just like the way she tends her backyard garden or brews her morning coffee, Jennifer Garner treats her body with the same spirit, slow, honest, and unembellished. To her, beauty isn't a race against time, but a practice of listening to what you feed your body and how you let your soul breathe. In a world where every face strives to look flawless under studio lights, Garner has chosen a different path, to keep the wrinkles, but never lose her peace. She once said on the Today Show, "When you start picking yourself apart, turn away and do something nice for someone else." A simple yet profound philosophy. Instead of being consumed by the mirror, find meaning again in kindness and action. In an interview with People, she added, "I was never considered the pretty girl, so I don't feel insecure about it." Jennifer Garner doesn't fight aging with surgery or slogans. She resists it with belief that beauty doesn't live on the face, but in the way we live. And that's why, as the years go by, she continues to shine, not with the flash of cameras, but with a light that can only come from within. Jennifer Garner never set out to become a legend. She simply chose to live truthfully. And through that quiet authenticity, she's made the world stop and listen. From the young woman cleaning bathrooms in New York to the mother standing before Congress to defend children's rights, Garner has never needed the spotlight to shine. All she's ever needed is kindness and the belief that even the smallest act of goodness can change a generation. Perhaps what makes people love Jennifer Garner isn't her fame or beauty, but the way she makes us believe that living with grace is still a real choice. And you? What about Jennifer Garner moves you most? Her resilience, her compassion, or that warm, unguarded smile? Share your thoughts below. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you won't miss our next journey where every legend carries the true story of a human being.